Hey there, Papa's Posse. Don't forget about that QR code. Take you to my eBay, YouTube, and Instagram page. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, it's time for Papa's Comic Books, Coffee, and more. Well, welcome back, everyone. You can see it's time for Comic Books, Coffee, and more. Today we have A Mother for Choco by Kiko Kaza. Copyright 1992, Putnam and Grosset Group. Now, before we begin, don't forget, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's see what's going on with Choco. Choco was a little bird who lived all alone. He wished he had a mother, but who could his mother be? One day he set off to find her. First, Choco met Mrs. Giraffe. "Oh, Mrs. Giraffe," he cried, "you are yellow just like me. Are you my mother?" "I'm sorry," sighed Mrs. Giraffe, "but I don't have wings like you." Next, Choco met Mr. Penguin. "Oh, Mrs. Penguin," he cried, "you have wings just like me. Are you my mother?" "I'm sorry," sighed Mrs. Penguin, "but I don't have a big round cheeks like you." Then Choco met Mrs. Walrus. "Oh, Mrs. Walrus," he cried, "you have big round cheeks like me. Are you my mother?" "Now look," grumped Mrs. Walrus, "I don't have striped feet like you, so don't bother me." No matter where Choco searched, he couldn't find a mother who looked just like him. When Choco saw Mrs. Bear picking apples, he knew she couldn't be his mother. Mrs. Bear didn't look like him at all. Choco was so sad he started to cry. "Mommy, Mommy, I need a mommy." Mrs. Bear came running to see what was the matter. As she listened to Choco's story, she sighed. "Oh dear, if you had a mommy, what would she do?" "Oh, I'm sure she would hold me," said Choco. "Like this?" asked Mrs. Bear, as she held Choco very tight. "Yes, and I'm sure she would kiss me, too," said Choco. "Like this?" asked Mrs. Bear, as she lifted Choco and gave him a big kiss. "Yes, and I'm sure she would sing and dance with me to cheer me up," said Choco. "Like this?" asked Mrs. Bear, as they sang and danced together. When they stopped to rest, Mrs. Bear turned to Choco and said, "Choco, maybe I could be your mother." "You?" Choco cried. "But you aren't yellow, and you don't have wings, or big round cheeks, or striped feet like me." "My goodness," said Mrs. Bear, "that would make me look very funny." Choco thought it was funny, too. Look at that. "Well," said Mrs. Bear, "my other children are waiting for me at home. Why don't you join us for apple pie, Choco?" Apple pie sounded wonderful to Choco, so off they went. When they arrived, Mrs. Bear's other children rushed out to greet her. "Choco," said Mrs. Bear, "meet Hippie, Allie, and Piggy. I am their mother." "Wait a minute, a hippo, an alligator, and a pig? That can't be." The sweet smell of apple pie and the sound of laughter soon filled Mrs. Bear's home. Look at them all having fun. After their delicious treat, Mrs. Bear gave all children a big warm hug, and Choco was very happy that his new mommy looked just the way she did. And that was A Mother for Choco by Kiko Kaza, copyright 1992. Hope you enjoyed that quick little reading. Now, don't forget this book. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, okay? And leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on. All righty. And as Papa and Choco always say, what do we always say?
That was easy.
Until next time, Papa is out.